So Adam Waldman has been removed from the Johnny Depp 2021 case, and this, it sounds terrible when you look at the headline. Lawyer for Johnny Depp kicked off case after press leaks. This, however, is not that big of a deal, especially when you consider that there was a request to shut down any and all conversation coming from one Adam Waldman regarding this case, and that it has been denied. All of this does make me wonder something, though. Is turnabout actually fair play, or does it only apply to Adam Waldman and Johnny Depp? So hey there. So today, you and I, we are returning to that wonderful world of Johnny Depp coverage. And let me ask you, if you would, leave a like, leave any comment you want. It could be about gardening, anything you'd like. I'd like to see if the algorithm will pick it up and it helps. Also, if you hear a baby in the background, that's baby Umbrella Girl. Can you say hi? Yeah, she's one, by the way. So this headline, it comes to us from Court News Service. Now, the lawyer that this article is referencing is one Adam Waldman. And if you don't know anything about Adam Waldman, first of all, I can't blame you. Not everybody keeps up with lawyers. But I would say follow this guy on Twitter because he keeps you apprised of everything going on. This, for example, is something Adam Waldman apprised us of, and we'll return to it in just a minute. But essentially, what it tells us is that AH's team, they've been leaking documents, they've been concocting press releases, and the press, they've been following right along. Yes, Adam Waldman, he let us in on quite a few things, telling us about witnesses, telling us about people close to Johnny Depp and AH, and essentially telling us that people, they've known what was going on for quite some time. But if anyone, they didn't lockstep, well, terrible things would happen, like things being dumped to the press, and I guess telling us all of that, yeah, it comes with a cost. Enter today's news about Adam Waldman, lawyer for Johnny Depp, being kicked off the case after quote-unquote press leaks. Quote, on more than one occasion, the judge presiding over the lawsuit between the divorce actors Johnny Depp and AH has made it clear he doesn't want their Virginia defamation case tried in the press. Well, good luck with that. You know, basically, Adam Waldman doesn't hide the fact that he's talking about this case, but yeah, you know, the other team, they're definitely not doing it. Coming off the latest disappointment on that front, Judge Bruce White threw Depp's attorney Adam Waldman off the case on Friday after finding that the lawyer had given the press confidential information covered under a protective order. Waldman was admitted pro hac vice for this case only to Fairfax County Circuit Court September 2019. That same month, Judge White signed a protective order governing the treatment of Depp and AH's personal information, passport numbers, phone numbers, and the like, as well as medical records including psychological condition, diagnoses, or treatment. AH has moved for sanctions against the Washington attorney last month, contending that the press leaks happened, quote-unquote, on at least 2 occasions. Now, I love how articles casually reduced 90-plus pages into, quote-unquote, moving for sanctions. That's what AH did, essentially calling Adam Waldman the devil. But yeah, it breaks down to this argument here. Defendant AH brings this motion for sanctions against plaintiff's counsel Adam Waldman for his repeated abuse of the discovery process, violation of the court protective order, and general conduct in this case. Throughout this litigation, Mr. Waldman has acted like anything but an attorney this court has the right to expect. Defendant now responds to this court's multiple invitations to address the conduct directly through a motion for sanctions against Mr. Waldman, including the revocation of his pro hac vice admission, prohibition from further contact with the press or the public through social media about this case, and for fees and costs for having to bring this motion. Now, they got one thing out of this, too, but, well, they're never going to shut him up, it sounds like. Look at these statements here, too. I think these are very, very telling. She said that Waldman was responsible for disseminating audio recordings. That I find fascinating considering the secret recordings that she did, and on her own quote-unquote friends, no less. You know, basically to burn them if they would not testify her way. Surveillance pictures. Now, when you think about surveillance pictures, too, what are we talking about there? Oh, yeah, we're talking about pictures from elevators showcasing alleging that a certain person claiming that certain marks on them were never there. That's terrible to share with us, huh? And declarations from third-party witnesses to websites and Twitter users, quote-unquote, leading readers and potential jurors to believe that these declarations are somehow official case documents, which they are not. Essentially, they don't want you to know things like close family friends. Well, they're not so close to AH and AH's sister anymore, and they don't want you to know all of the craziness that has happened behind the scenes. Continuing, in court on Friday, AH's lawyers, they give you the lawyers' names, and notice this accusation. They accused Waldman of spreading false rumors about their client. Now, that is incredibly rich, considering the 4 years, count them, 4 years, 2016 to 2020, where AH and her ilk have engaged in a witch hunt. But hey, Adam Waldman talking about this case, oh, that's a bridge too far. That's quote-unquote spreading false rumors about their client. So White, who is a chief judge in the 19th Circuit, agreed Friday to revoke Waldman's pro-hack vice status. Despite finding that ethical standards were violated, this is a big thing right here too, the judge declined to issue a gag order against Waldman. Now, we'll look at the argument against all of this too in just a moment, but before we do, this is pretty much why this isn't such a big deal. Brown Rudnick attorney Benjamin Chew, he's been the mainstay at most hearings for Depp in the Virginia proceedings, and Friday's hearing was no different. AKA, that was the guy that was going to be there anyway, so yeah, nothing's really going to change. Now, Chew, he contended that the text messages in question, that was one of the things they brought up as well, were already public domain, and he also accused AH's lawyers of making their own breaches of the protective order, which I'm going to show you in just a second. Now, the argument against all of this, which was 73 pages in length, and the judge, he agreed with some of it, it basically boils down to this. AH's motion, which seeks to impose a draconian gag order and extraordinary sanctions on one of Mr. Depp's attorneys, is breathtaking in its hypocrisy and is not warranted by the circumstances. The one-sided sanction, and that's it, one-sided, sought by AH, would be particularly unjust given that AH and or her attorneys have repeatedly violated the operative protective order. Indeed, AH's third and current lead counsel deliberately disclosed the entirety of Mr. Depp's quote-unquote confidential productions to a third-party tabloid in the UK without Mr. Depp's consent. AH also disclosed the entirety of her quote-unquote confidential productions to the same UK tabloid despite having no obligation to do so. Like AH's false counterclaim allegations that Mr. Waldman controls quote-unquote inauthentic accounts online and an army of Russian bots and trolls, AH's motion is purely tactical filing calculated to suppress speech and to deprive Mr. Depp of his attorney at choice. And that's true there. I mean, these people have gone out of their way to harm Mr. Depp at any and all turns, and well, this judge has let some of that happen, and that, I think that speaks volumes. The following will showcase beyond any doubt how Powers Court, who is handling the PR for AH, has been leaking documents, crafting narratives for the mainstream, and you have to wonder where they're getting all of these things from, if not from AH's legal team. Now, you'll notice this email, it's from Powers Court. It also has another person tagged in. That's from Powers Court. And yeah, look at what they're stating here. Hope you're well. We wanted to give you a heads up on a major development in the Depp versus NGN, that's the News Group newspaper, or The Sun, case overnight. I will forward the judgment once we receive it from the U.S., and as per usual, anything you need, feel free to call Mark or myself. A crucial witness, Melanie I, did not want to give evidence in the UK case, which now starts on the 7th of July because she was fearful for her career in Hollywood. Melanie I is a makeup artist and signed a declaration to U.S. courts stating that she had concealed we're just going to say marks, all caused by Depp, ahead of an appearance on The Late Show with James Corden in 2015. Melanie I did not have to give testimony in a British court unless she was compelled to give evidence. evidence. In a motion to quash the order compelling Melanie I to quote-unquote provide testimony in foreign proceedings, her lawyer stated, quote, if NGN's request is granted and Melanie I is forced to testify publicly in this high-profile matter about things she saw in a celebrity client's home while she was working, Melanie I's career will undoubtedly suffer. The U.S. Court, which is the Central District of California, Western Division, has rejected this motion, meaning Melanie I will have to testify later in the U.K. trial. The U.K. case will therefore hear the evidence of how depths of volatile nature basically left A.H., well, you know the claims there. Melanie I's testimony is expected between the 17th and 28th of July. How would they know all of this stuff, by the way, to talk about it? Well, somebody's got to be telling them, and we haven't even gotten to the juicy tidbits yet. Now, here is where things get good. Why? Because Fairfax, Virginia comes in. You know that place that's sanctioning an attorney. The witness declaration comes in from one Melanie I, and these people, they have it, and they give it to someone else. Where did they get it? Again, legal team. They had to give it to them. So we've attached Melanie I's original witness declaration in a separate U.S. proceedings in Fairfax, Virginia. Then they tell them what parts they need to report on. I'm not going to read these because, well, you know, there's another site that I'm working with that probably want to sanction me for that. But they tell them what you need to report on, and here's our statement. Quote, a spokesman for A.H. said, this third-party testimony is further proof of, well, what happened to A.H. During her marriage, A.H. was eventually forced to get an RO against Depp. He is now dragging her through the British courts in the glare of the world's media, forced to relive the horrific experiences she suffered. However, A.H. will tell the full story in court next month. Now, you remember how this document started out, too? If you need anything, as always, contact myself. Or, so they had been doing this for a while. Places they have been reporting on this, too. But Adam Waldman is the one that's the bad guy in this. Yeah, when I see that stuff, it makes me seethe, because we know that there's a fight. We know that there's a fight going on behind the scenes, but Adam Waldman, he hasn't hidden the fact that he is going to fight it, and well, that has basically left him open for things like this. Luckily, he can still talk about this stuff too, but like I said, the hypocrisy is glaring, and especially when you have proof like this. This isn't the end all either. We have proof that there is witness tampering. I can show that to you. I've shown it before. We have proof that people have been intimidated, coerced, and on. But hey, again, Adam Waldman, he's somehow the bad guy. Let me know if you want to see those entire documents too. Maybe we can go over them in live stream. If not, and as always, I appreciate you showing up. I appreciate you being here. You make these endeavors possible. I can't say that enough. The little one, appreciate you too. Can you say bye? Bye. Bye. Yeah, there we go. And if you want to help out the channel, well, check out the links in the description. You know, because covering this stuff, yeah, basically, this certain place, it doesn't like it. That's why I mentioned the algorithm, trying to trying to leave comments. But also, like I said, if you want to help out, check out the links out there. We have Patreon, we have memberships, we have merchandise. We also have a comic book, and we need your help getting the word out there as we continue our works on that. You want to say something? You want to say wobble wobble or bye? Yeah, that's right. That's our favorite thing. Wobble wobble too for some reason. But yeah, appreciate you being here, and we'll see you soon, and hope you have a great one.